Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 2.5 Hoopers, a.k.a. TH Hoopers, a.k.a. Tony Roten's favorite basketball podcast. It's Wednesday, August 18th, the night of Wednesday, August 18th. And I'm your host, Jacob Lehman. With me, I have George Martin.
A little bit of a schedule malfunction, lack of communication, but we're here, which is the best point.
We still have not missed an episode, so hallelujah. Well, we replaced with a vlog. So the last week, that whole thing
cancels out.
Mm-hmm. Sorry if you heard my lean in the background. I did not know I had that much ice left in that fruit punch. But remember, if you guys like what you're make sure to follow us at TH Hoopers on Instagram and at G_Martin21 on Twitter. George's on TikTok too. Post the second TikTok. Didn't do the best. But that's why we need your guys' help to go, follow. At least give a view. You don't even gotta like it because I don't like what George's saying either. But at least give it a view, give it traction on the For You page, and then hopefully someone does like what he's saying. Have you gotten a lot of criticism about it? What, you just no interaction at all, or how you feel about the TikToks?
The second interview got little to no interaction. The first one had near 500 views, which for an account with less than 10 followers, pretty impressive. 3 comments on that one. It was just more of like video ideas. The next video that I will drop will not be a response to a comment, so a little bit more controversy, I guess, because the topic I want to talk about. It's pretty good. I think that if it gets like on many people's For You page, that's something you could definitely like comment on. So we'll see.
Perfect. And yeah, if you guys don't like us or whatever, just go to the TikTok, light them up. Like anything helps. Any interaction helps. You'll get a shout out even if you tell George like he sucks. Like it's still traction we got to get. But yeah, speaking of that, YouTube, please subscribe. Hello. And yeah, you comment, we'll give you a shout out, we'll interact, always respond, all that fun stuff. But we got a good show for you guys, just me and George here. Embiid Supermax, Kings being crowned Summer League champs, Katie and Draymond hashing it out, and the few schedule leaks we have so far for next season. But we're going to lead with we had a trade. Sorry, I couldn't say that correctly, but we had a trade. I can't say because I'm just as confused as everyone else is why Pat Bev is getting passed around like this. But he's on the Grizzlies for about 3 days, and they're shipping him off to another animal, the Timberwolves. So the full trade, Pat Bev for Jarrett Culver, who was a 6th pick about 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure, and Juancho Hernan-Gomez. So Pat Bev, the big piece in this one, because it was a 2-for-1. We'll start with the Timberwolves here, getting, I guess, a guy they see getting real minutes because they trade 2 rotation guys for him. They traded away Ricky Rubio earlier. They got D'Lo, they got Ant Edwards, so Pat Bev more likely coming off the bench again. How do you like it for them? Veteran leadership? What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it much at all. Timberwolves have kind of a leadership question. I don't really know who, like maybe Cat is the leader of that team, but Pat Bev is certainly a guy you can bring into your team, and he can kind of like round them into shape. I guess this also means the end of the D'Lo 6-man experiment. Seems
Thank
like
God.
He's going to be starting, and Pat Bev will be coming off the bench. So yeah, they don't have a ton of experience either. They've never been, I mean, the one year they were the 8th seed with Jimmy, they got to the postseason, but they're really inexperienced overall. Pat Bev does have a good amount of experience, so he's just going to be the savvy vet, kind of like the James Johnson, where he comes in, he plays hard, he plays aggressive, and he'll be mentoring guys, probably D'Lo the most since they play the same position.
Yeah, they kind of did an opposite thing where like Ricky Rubio's like the nice guy, like here's gonna make a chest pass. Like Pat Bev's gonna like get on the young guards about like defense, and also he's gonna yell at them, make practice like interesting and stuff. So I don't hate it as a young team. It's always nice to just throw random pieces in there, see what helps, because Pat Bev isn't gonna stunt the development of anyone here. Like unless he kills D'Lo's confidence or something. Like I don't really see it being like a harmful trade at all. So I do like it there. Do you think they trade Juancho Hernan-Gomez because of the emergence of Vanderbilt last year? Because it seems like they're pretty thin at the 4 spot now.
Yeah, I'd say Vanderbilt. They have a few other guys. I honestly can't think of their name. I know Naz Reid is their backup center, but they had some other decent forwards I think they've been looking at. I don't really know who they drafted. I didn't keep up with the T-Wolves a whole lot in their draft selections, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a loss, honestly. Hernan-Gomez wasn't starting, right?
It was him or Vanderbilt. He was just kind of a stretch forward that would come in, or he would start.
Vanderbilt's definitely younger, so I mean, they get a little younger and they get a little older, so I guess that cancels out too.
Let's shift but to Culver, because it's kind of Chris Dunn-esque, where they go to the Timberwolves at a high pick and like they just don't work out. they really got pennies in the dollar for a former 6 overall pick, even though we do like the Pat Bev trade. Do you see Culver still being a good piece? And then we kind of lead into that, what it means for the Grizzlies getting him.
Well, he's in a really good place. Grizzlies have been phenomenal with development of picks. Desmond Bain, Xavier Tillman, obviously guys like Ja, even Anderson, they got him from the Spurs. He wasn't like the most productive guy. Now he's incredible. Dylan Brooks, I know they traded away Allen, but oh well with that. So yeah, I think it's a reclamation project. It's low risk, high reward. You get him with your development staff, and I don't know his role necessarily, but he'll definitely be in a better environment to succeed than he was with the Timberwolves.
He's a different player than Grayson Allen, but I think he takes those minutes, those like kind of like combo guard minutes that Allen was taking. And yeah, I do like because I've been kind of bashing on their offseason. I'm like, what are they doing? I like they get a guy like Culver who the athleticism is still there, the raw talent is still there. Like you said, their development program is second to top 3. I'll say top 3, not second to none, but it's top 3. It's a very good development program. And then yeah, you trade Pat Bev, who is like, they're gonna buy him out or they're gonna play him. He's an NBA player, obviously, he has a role in this league, but to get a young player for him and a stretch big when you have Ja Morant who needs shooting around him, I think it's a great trade. Besides the elephant in the room, that they now have 18 players on their roster, and for any newbies out there, you can't go into the NBA season with 18 players. You have to have 15. So I'm looking at the roster. They got like 17, 18 NBA players. Like, these aren't guys that are just going to like cut. So like, do you see more trades happening, or are they just going to have to cut their losses at the very end?
I very well do see some, minimal trades around the margins, but I do think, one of the guys they acquired with Rondo, I think that's a buyout. We know he's not great with young teams. He really has to buy in. Even with the Clippers, it wasn't a great experiment with him. He just quits, and they don't need that with their young culture they're trying to build. So I see him being a buyout. Maybe Oturu, the guy they also got. Maybe they just send him to the G League. I don't know if that's considered a loss of a roster spot, but yeah, it'll be very small trades if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably my favorite trade they've made so far. My least favorite one is the Grayson Allen one, but you're smiling. Did you hear my dog in the back? Yeah, sometimes he just goes crazy.
It's fine.
We
love dogs here at TH Hoopers.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty solid trade. Is there a winner here? It's a pretty small trade, but who would you think is better off from this trade? Because this is like we like it both sides.
Yeah, I guess it's just the typical win-win,
Well, I do need a winner though. Like, I need someone like.
All right, I'll go with the Grizzlies. I really am hopeful that they'll get something good out of Culver.
For sure. Moving on, second subject. Joel Embiid got paid a lot of money. 4 years, $196 million Supermax. Kicks in, I believe,
next season.
I don't even think he's a free agent next.
Because
he's gonna be there a while.
It's $260 guaranteed. So do the math there. Yeah, that's probably 2 seasons.
Yeah. So yeah, it's about 2 seasons. So he'll be there. At least they locked down one of their stars, and he is their main star. So we all know, like, that Joel Embiid was like second MVP voting. He's the best center in the league, in my opinion.
He was gonna win. He was gonna win if he.
Yeah.
If he
so
stayed healthy.
Obviously, you give him as much money as you want, but it hasn't happened in the past 2 years, so people forget. He's very injury prone. He missed a few weeks last season, but sometimes it's months. So are you scared giving this much guaranteed money to a big man that has injury problems like that?
I am, and I'm only going to say this because there's no injury clause or, it's fully guaranteed money. If he's out multiple years, which I hope not, obviously, or if he's out, he has multiple season injuries, there's no they can get an injury exception or anything. This is all fully guaranteed money. So I do worry there a bit, but overall, I mean, you have to ink him up. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, we're not trying to. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Obviously, if he's like, I'll send a Supermax, you're like, well, who's your doctor? No, he's going to be.
You could go the route we're going to sign you to 2 or 3 year deals, but then you're just going to piss him off, and you're not trying to do that. Philly already has star discomfort in their organization, so this is the last thing that they need to do: piss off their literal core of their foundation. Yeah,
I mean, and do you think this has any implications about Ben Simmons wanting out, just going to Joel Embiid, hey, we still we like you still, we know what Ben's saying, but we treat our stars right. Do you think there's anything to that? Is it a coincidence he assigns it this summer when the Ben Simmons stuff comes out?
I don't think it's much of a coincidence. I think this is probably I think he was probably eligible to sign the Supermax. I think I saw in a tweet before free agency there was like a list of 8 or 10 guys who were eligible for these extensions. So I don't think it was. I mean, it was just impeccable timing that all this happened with Simmons, and now he's signing an extension. But I mean, I do think it helps Simmons' chances of staying, or at least wanting to stay. But I honestly don't know. That's like a whole different subject. But I think if there's a chance, this definitely put it in the right direction.
Yeah, overall, good for the Sixers. You keep probably your best player since like Allen Iverson in this, what is it called? City of Brotherly Love? There it is. And good for Joel Embiid. Money. Next topic. Kings were crowned Summer League champions. They beat the Celtics, and basically Celtics had the Celtics whole bench in the NBA, like you were saying before. They had Romeo Langford, Peyton Pritchard, Carson Edwards. I think Taco Fall was there. He wasn't.
I don't think he necessarily played it. Yeah.
So yeah, you start. I mean, we'll talk about the Kings here. We saw a Kings game in person. We found out Davion Mitchell's nickname is Off Night, which is sick ass nickname.
Absolutely love it.
And it really shows. I mean, we saw that he was locking up Book Night when we went there to see him. What did you see? Really? I mean, it's got to be something good for the Kings here. Their Summer League team wins, and when we were there, they had some big men there like that were playing pretty well. They just played hard, and Bobby Jackson was the coach, so maybe please be Luke Walton's replacement, please. But yeah, what did you see from the Kings? And then if you want to touch on the Celtics or just other teams in the Summer League.
Yeah, I just think the biggest concern overall with Mitchell, even before Summer League coming into the draft, was his frame. It's very short guard, 6'1". I know there's Donovan Mitchell, he's also 6'1". There's a bunch of smaller guards in the league that have had success, but I think people question his frame. I don't know. He just didn't look as big, because we were talking about this last night. Mitchell looks a very big 6'1". He does not look that short.
People think he's 6'3".
That's what I thought. 6'3", 6'4". He is big. And the way he was guarding these guards, Bouknight is a pretty lanky guard. I mean, he was up in their grill. He was disturbing them. A lot of people, I want to ask you this. They were saying, will they let him guard like that in the league, the NBA? I don't really know what they were talking about. Maybe because he was playing hand checking a bit. I don't know. I saw that on Twitter a lot.
He's very susceptible because he gets his head so low to the swing through. So if he's guarding a taller player, they can just swing through and they'll catch him every single time. So it's not necessarily he doesn't know how to play NBA defense. He's going to have to learn, if I play this aggressive, it's going to get taken advantage of. And then also maybe they're talking about he is guarding Summer League players, so he can crowd up on them as much as he wants because he's probably one of the most athletic players in the league. He goes to the NBA, everyone's as fast as him, everyone's as quick as him, everyone is as agile as him. So maybe they're referencing that as well. But overall, I think he got the nickname in college, Off Night.
I didn't even know that.
He goes to Summer League, continues to play good defense, not going to be in the NBA? Nope, he's going to be a subpar guard because he's 6'1". No. He's very, very – the lateral quickness is what I saw in Summer League. Yes. He can stay with the best of them. He doesn't ball watch. He's a great player.
And he can load up too. He's shorter, but he has a pretty wide shoulders, a broad frame that he can slide over, recover, and stop ball right on a dime, like you had mentioned.
He can't guard NBA 2 guards. Put him on Zach LaVine. That's not an Off Night. That's a 40 ball. But he can guard the Jamal Murrays. He can guard the Chris Pauls. He can guard these pure point guards, which is why with the Kings, I don't know. I was hoping to have a 3-guard lineup where Halliburton at 6'4" plays the 3. But now I'm seeing Davion's 6'1", Fox be the tallest one in that lineup, but he's best a point guard. So I don't know what the Kings are doing, but Davion had a great Summer League. And the Kings normally don't win Summer League, even though they've been in the lottery the past 14 years. So they got something special with Davion Mitchell.
I think they've only won 2 in the past 30 years. So yeah, they've been in the lottery for what? Better half of that? 15? I think the last time they made the playoffs was 08?
It was 07.
07, sorry. I was a year off.
They never made it with Boogie. That's wow. But yeah, I said it before, Bobby Jackson, Flowers, there you go. That his players loved playing for him. You can tell, they're screaming out there, they're hustling, they're having fun out there. So it was nice seeing Bobby Jackson actually, being able to coach these teams. Anything you want to touch on with the Celtics?
Well, first off, Peyton Patrick, he looks like he's rounding well in Summer League. I definitely expect him to be the first guard off. Or no, well, I guess that would be Dennis. but he'll get a lot more minutes this season. His averages were 20 points on 50% shooting and like 57% on 8 attempts from 3. That is high volume.
Wow.
He had that coming into the Summer League final, I should say. And then when he was guarded by Davion in the final game, he had 4 points on 2 of 6 shooting. No
off night.
0-4 from 3 and 4 turnovers. Off night, yeah. So that's an awesome nickname. Celtics, I mean, I'm glad they got to the final because with the amount of guys they had that were like literally NBA players last season, it should have been expected. They should have won, honestly, but you get to the final, oh well.
Yeah, it's Summer League, and plus, like, it was kind of weird. Like, you were like, they haven't playoffs. I'm like, they have to have playoffs. Just the championship. I don't know what was the criteria.
They just did they just did the best records. I even think the Pelicans ended up 5-0, but didn't get to play. I don't know what the seeding was. I don't know how they decided.
Well, I do know when we went to Summer League, you and Josh went to go get chicken strips. The Celtics yacked on the Nuggets by like 40. So if it's by
someone else yacked too.
If it's by point differential, that's what the Celtics make the finals. They crushed the Nuggets by 40.
Because you can't really do head-to-head because I don't necessarily know if these teams played the other teams because there was so many teams there.
If there was like 3 different champions, like there's like little divisions and stuff, then you could do head-to-head. But yeah, not like that. I did forget to touch on this when we did our Summer League overview. Going to Summer League, you really see it's almost essential for these players to play when you come out of college because it's almost the perfect middle ground. Like you play quarters now, not halves, but it's only 10-minute quarters, so it's 40 minutes still. It's there's still like music playing in the back, like it's college and timeouts, but then it like goes there and like the crowd's like really into it. There's basically the same crowd as college, but there's still 24-second shot clock violations. Very good gradual into the NBA experience. And I didn't realize that's how I really went there. And you see the guys, like, they're all kind of the same, build. There's no, like, super athletes in Summer League. So it's just a good thing to just kind of get your lottery picks out there for a few games. Like, hey, this is the middle step, like, to get used to the fast pace of the NBA. That's something I really noticed, too, that I didn't really notice watching Summer League past, like, 5 years there on the TV.
Yeah, and I've also noticed this. It's kind of just a trend. I mean, maybe because we were there, I noticed it more. But they'll get their guys out there, especially the top guys like the Cades, the Greens, Suggs, all them. They see them dominate for a night or two. They're like, okay, you're good. Like, no need to keep you out there the whole tournament.
Yeah, because if you keep them out there, they're going to win MVP. Like, especially if they're a second-year player.
But I also like it. I also like that they pull them because it's like, all right, we don't want you to dominate too much because then, like, when you get into the league, you're kind of going to get humbled a bit, and we don't want to mess up your development. Because if you had Suggs playing the whole tournament, the guy he'd win MVP, like I said, 25-5, and I don't expect him to put up those numbers immediately. So you want to temper their expectations of what the league's really like because they're going to be like, oh man, this is easier than I expected. You get into the league, you're matched up with like Trae Young. He's going in and out, and you got 40 on your head.
Yeah, and definitely, you see it every year, like you just said. You put your rookies out there, and then they're like, my knee don't feel right. You're like, all right, put a suit on. Like, you can watch your teammates play now for us the whole time. Like, if you have any sort of injury, they're not going to let you get hurt in Summer League. Are you kidding me? Well, head coaches lose their jobs.
You remember when the Lakers were running Summer League with attendance and all that, B.I. like rose up for a jumper, slipped and fell, and was holding his calf or whatever, low ankle. People thought Achilles. Magic's standing over there on the side like, no, you're done. B.I.'s like, no, I'm fine. It's just a cramp. He's like, no, you're done. So
yeah, if you're an aspiring coach, you get a Summer League job to show what you're worth, and one of your young players like that's actually got a roster spot gets hurt, and you push him to play again. That's how you get like ostracized from the NBA. Like that's a big old no. But yeah, any crazy Summer League takeaways in general, or are you ready to move on?
No, I mean the guys who I expected to ball out did, so I'm happy about that. Even guys I was kind of pessimistic about, like Scotty Barnes, looked very, very good. I was against the pick there just because fit-wise, but then, maybe I was proven wrong because we do say talent over fit. I just thought Suggs would be the perfect puzzle piece, but Barnes looked very impressive, and he's a Nick Nurse prototype, player.
Did you see any real lottery picks disappoint? Because like, even guys not high on like Kuminga, the cum bucket, I don't really. He looked like a hooper out there. Like, he was bodying dudes. Like
Giddey didn't play, Primo didn't play.
All the reaches didn't play.
Maybe
the guys who might have
disappointed. Wagner didn't shoot a whole very well when we saw
the game
him.
We played. He sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't watch any of the other Magic games, so maybe just him. I can't Bouknight didn't look good when we played, but then Josh texted us like 4 days later. He's like 28-5 on good shooting. I'm like, he was bad when we saw him. Doesn't count.
He was playing off night, so it's okay.
So yeah, maybe just Wagner, but then again, something with shooting like this, you can just be cold. Maybe the nerves are there. You know, you have one specialty, one skill, and you start missing, you're gonna get in a cold sweat.
And he had that 29-year-old bleached hair dude staring down his neck for that stretch 4 spot for Orlando.
I hope that guy gets on a 2-way or something.
He was drafted in 13. He's a rookie this year. It's fun to watch.
I was watching. I don't know. I was on Twitter or something or Instagram. They just had like the Magic shoot around. I only watched him. Did not miss a 3-pointer.
Oh, he's raw. Yeah, he's insane. But yeah, it was a pretty good summer league. It was only about 11 days, but short and sweet.
It was very short, and we kind of lucked in. We were there, only 2 days, but after that, I'm not gonna say it dropped off because the talent and production was still there, but I don't know. I feel like the first few days is when you gotta go.
Do you mind it being shorter? Because like we just said, like all the really good guys get rested towards the end. You're just watching like these players like that no one really knows but are like really good playing the like playoffs and stuff. Unless you're like, if you're a Laker fan, like the past like 5 years, you're watching like D'Lo and like Josh Hart playing the playoffs. And
you want them to keep going, yeah. I don't necessarily hate it because I mean, if we're talking about just the environment of the event, the big names, the stars of the teams watching, their rooks, they only go the first few days. You or Josh, I forget who said this, had a great point. They're not going to go to multiple of these games, especially if it's in Vegas, like because we missed Ant Edwards by like a few hours or something, and I'm like, oh, maybe we'll see him tomorrow.
And then I told you, I was like, he's not coming again.
Yeah, like 2 games, especially in Vegas. No, that guy's either back home or, out on the strip.
Putting it all on red. See, I didn't mind it being like 11 days, but like I said, kind of a hypocrite now that my favorite team is not really a big player in Summer League, although shout out Mac McClung. He got a roster spot. Played pretty well, but yeah, if your team's like in the lottery, Summer League is where you thrive. It's draft lottery in May, the draft in June, and Summer League in July. That's your championship right there. You're seeing all these
it was like that for the we literally treated it as a game 7. Thomas and Mac was filled out. I bet you they used the second row when the Lakers were there, 4 or 5 years ago. So that was probably a sight to behold.
But yeah, pretty good Summer League, and now we really enter the dog days of the NBA. If we talked football, it'd be a whole lot different. But
thankfully, we have football to watch, like for our sanity. But
now every pod I do, I'm like, wow, this is going to be interesting.
It's dry.
Today is pretty good because Katie and Draymond dropped an interview.
Segue.
So we won't have that every time, but we got one of these, sit down, hash it out type of things that, it started with the Kobe Shaq, and that one was like goated. That one was great.
Isaiah Magic did
one
too.
I think
that one was
did Magic and Bird do one too?
Maybe, but they never. I mean, they're like best friends. They never really had beat. Like
Isaiah
and Magic. They hadn't seen each other in like 10 years or something. Like and it was over. I forget it because I watched it so long ago. It was over like dumb reasons. Like they said themselves they shouldn't have even happened like that.
Yeah, those ones were on NBA TV or like TNT or something. Those ones are great. This one was on Bleacher Report. It's like Draymond Green's show called like Chips, and he interviews like a bunch of players around the NBA. JJ Redick started like a phenomenon. Like now, not like Duncan Robinson's got a podcast. Draymond Green's got a show.
Old Man in the 3. What's it called? Like Old Man in the 3 or something.
Yeah, because they left the Ringer after like 6 months because they realized, oh, my name's JJ Redick. I can get revenue on my own. I don't need to be on the Ringer. But that's neither here nor there. We got Katie and Draymond to talk about. So Draymond was the host. He was talking to Katie. I watched the whole thing. You cut the important parts, so let you kind of talk about it, and I'll pick up the crumbs.
So, yeah, I just saw the part about their fight. I believe 2018, that series against the Clippers. You guys probably know most about that. They were just talking about how they blamed it on the Warriors front office and the coach, Steve Kerr. And for the front office, they basically threw Bob Myers out there as the scapegoat. And they talked about their fight. They talked about how it was poorly managed by those two and that they didn't let them apologize. KD said he had wished it was like in The Last Dance when the whole team, got on Scotty or whatever, and all of them came together and said, hey, we need to fix this or whatever. And it just didn't make sense to me because they're like, oh, yeah, we couldn't handle the situation. I'm like, they're 2 grown men. They could easily hash it out, in the locker room or, us, after practice, go aside, go to like the side and just talk about it or whatever, go out, go to lunch or something. I don't know. It was very weird that they made those two the scapegoat. I mean, Draymond literally acts like he runs the Warriors. I saw Bleacher Report articles like he was sending them what picks to take. Apparently, he had authorization on the Kuminga pick. I don't know if that's true. So it was interesting to see how they just blame those two when it could have all been cleared up very easily. It didn't need to go this route.
So yeah, what George is alluding to is the prompt by Draymond was how much did the Clippers, the fight that KD and Draymond had against the Clippers, matter in KD leaving the Warriors? And he didn't really answer it, but him answering it in such detail made it seem like it was a pretty big part. So yeah, George explained it pretty well. It was basically Draymond said, like, when you're going to do the dishes, right? You're home alone, and mom comes home and she's like, do the dishes. Now you don't want to do them. Draymond said he sat down with Bob Myers and Steve Kerr for like 2 hours. They said to apologize to KD, and that made him not want to do it. Now, Draymond is a hard head. So I'm not really confused about that part. He said the only one who can make him apologize was KD, though. Which, I'm fully there for. I don't need someone else telling me to apologize. Like, if this dude's cool with me, like, I'm fine. But apparently KD's feelings were hurt. So I blame this a lot on KD for not going to Draymond and being like, hey, like what the hell happened this game? Like, that was not cool. And it seems like Draymond would have apologized there. So I do kind of blame KD more than I blame, Bob Myers and, Steve Kerr and stuff. Because I don't know if you mentioned this, but the whole thing was basically KD wasn't upset about the arguments, but he was upset about Steve Kerr and Bob Myers acting like nothing happened.
Exactly, yes.
So do you have any thoughts on, his mindset there? It's KD, so don't read too much into it because he has a lot of crazy rationalities about what he does. But
so essentially, KD kind of like pulled the victim card, but at the same time didn't actively try to make the situation better. He's like, oh yeah, I'm pissed at Draymond, but I'm not going to be like, yo, I want like an apology. Yo, we need to talk this over. He just let it go and then acted like that was the reason he wanted to leave.
Essentially, yeah.
That's very interesting. I mean, I do remember him saying, like, it was the point that Myers and Kerr just sweeping it under the rug, but I don't know. I just felt like if it was really that much of a problem, they would have had to address it somehow. I mean, they were teammates. They won the championship in 2018. Like, there's no way you go through all of that. And maybe, winning.
KD described it as their first bump in the road, and then he said, a la the Scottie Pippen thing. And by the way, that doesn't really link up that much, in my opinion, because Scottie knew he was in the wrong. Like, he went in there and he like Bill Carr had his heartfelt speech or whatever, and Scottie was like, you know what, this is on me, guys. I'm super sorry. Neither Draymond or KD said there was a problem or owned up to being the problem. So it's not really there to address it. I know KD is a basketball historian, so he wanted to kind of allude himself to that. But any more thoughts on KD, that kind of section right there?
I mean, I don't know if it truthfully drove him out. If anything drove him out, I think it was just the reception he got of being there. I don't necessarily know if he can handle it. I don't want to speak on his behalf because he's obviously a grown man himself. But I don't know. I just felt like he probably didn't envision it going like that. And one thing after another, first with just how he was treated across the league from players, and then like when he went back to OKC, and then his injury in 2019. I don't know. With the training staff. There's always been question marks with the Warriors training staff. And I think they rushed KD back, and I don't necessarily know if he was ready. So I felt like like you said, the first bump in the road, but that seems pretty major. It doesn't seem like a little bump. It seems like they drove through a pothole and their tires started leaking.
Yeah. So just before, people start screaming at their headphones, like KD did say and agree with Draymond after those first 2 years, like he was kind of done. Like he was kind of ready to move on or whatever. But you have the chance to three-peat, so we're going to run it back one more time. So I think that didn't really make him leave, but it didn't convince him to stay. He's already planning on leaving, so like I guess in theory that made him leave. But he was already kind of ready to go to leave, so it's not really on Draymond for like pushing him out. He did want to try something else. I got a few more prompts to throw at you about what happened in that interview, and then I got a few like just thoughts on the whole interview process itself. But KD said he would do it 1,000 times out of 1,000 join the Warriors again. And he said it was just because he fits so well in their scheme and their offense. And I might be talking to myself. I think George froze.
Hello? Hi? Hello?
You back?
I never left.
So did you hear me the whole time? Word. All right. So KD basically said he would join the Warriors again and again and again over and over in 2016. He wouldn't change a thing, mostly because he fit their offense so well, in his opinion. Do you think he's right to not have any regrets about it? Do you think if you were him, you would do it over and over again too? Or do you think he learned anything?
I don't know.
Or do you think he's lying? Like, do you think he's maybe like,
Could be.
maybe I shouldn't have joined the Warriors, man? Like, people are saying these rings don't count.
Like, it was a good move career-wise. I mean, getting rings. He balled out in the final. Like, he got finals MVPs. I know in the series it came against, it was pretty lopsided, but I think he probably does it. That was really the only hole in his career. I don't know if joining the Warriors right after they broke the win record and freaking choked in the final. They beat the Thunder as well. I think he does join them, but maybe like 2017, 2018, maybe the Cavs like go back to back, and then he's like, okay, I'm joining these guys. I feel like that might have been received better because he went to the team that he lost to, choked the 3-1 lead against, who just broke the all-time regular season wins record. Just that in itself was a horrible domino of events that led to him signing there. So I think he was right of how he fit there. It was perfect. Just don't think when he did it was the right time.
Yeah, my gripe has always been like, it's not that he joined a great team. He lost to him. And I go back and forth on how overpowered those Warriors really were before he got there. Just because you can make a case that they wouldn't have won in 2015 if Kyrie's healthy. And they didn't win in 2016. They blew a 3-1 lead. So how overpowered really are they if they could have 0 rings to LeBron and, pals? But then they did go 73-9. They were up 3-1 against a LeBron-led team. So I go back and forth, and that's a different podcast topic. But just going into how the interview was conducted, it was really odd just because I started at 34 minutes. And I started up and they're talking about like KD growing up stuff. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like the KD interview, like a no jumper thing, like a lot of topics all the way through. But then they breezed through everything that's not Warriors in about 4 minutes. And I'm like, what? Like, what was the point of that? Like he talked about his like childhood coach. Then they're like, you changed high school 3 times. He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool. And they move on. Like it wasn't really like a great format in my opinion. And Draymond, I think, is one of the best basketball players personality wise that we have right now. But I think it's a lot better subject for an interview, not an interviewer. It really the format of it was almost like it reminded me of us. Like it was very sloppy. Like it was very like put together like on the spot. And I mean, no one's gonna really hear my gripes about it, but I just didn't think it was very well like thought together and put out. And then also, there was like, if you compare these to like the Isaiah ones in Magic and the Kobe and Shaq one, this was just like housekeeping. Like it wasn't like they're having this conversation. They've had this conversation 20 times before, and they're just like, let's record it this time. Like there's no like actual like emotion. There was no like, oh really?
It was just like a checklist. It felt like
it was just like, here's what happened. No emotion, like nothing. And I mean, it's hard to like compare it because like they just saw each other when they won the gold medal like 3 weeks ago, like for a month or so. Like that was like their best friends. So it's very like, I'm not trying to have like a bone to pick about it, but it's very like by the numbers. Like, here's what happened, right? Yep. And
it felt like, I mean, I get it was like Draymond's interview, but it felt like Draymond was just a reporter asking KD questions.
It did.
Like, okay, let's move on. Like, with the Kobe and Shaq and Isaiah and Magic, it was both of them. Someone would say something, a story, then they would like say the other side, and then they would just be like, oh, remember this and all that, and just very collaborative. This one just felt one-sided. It was, I'm asking you questions, you answer, I don't say anything else, and we move.
And some of it has to do with Draymond being like, it's his show, like he has people on.
I get it.
But I didn't like that. Like it seemed very like it was a KD interview with like the only guy he's ever really beefed with, and it was boring. Like it just seemed like very like by the numbers.
And if you're going to talk about a story that quote unquote led KD to eventually leaving, I would feel Draymond would have to give his point of view, like about himself, about
they didn't even tell the story. They just said they fought against the Clippers. No one knows what they fought against. It was pretty obvious. Like Draymond, like dribbles. He bounces out of bounds, and KD's
there's a lot of talking
going on there.
there was something that series. It was Draymond had the ball at the top of the key, and he like ISO'd or whatever, drove in and took a shot, and KD's at the wing like clapping that he wanted the ball. I think that might have started it, but yeah, nope. Was it a locker room thing, post game on the court in the huddle? I don't know.
Yeah. So
is there even a fight? Did they lie?
Like that whole part, it just seemed. I would just rather like if it's gonna be the KD interview, make it an hour, talk about everything that's gone up to him, or if it's just gonna be like him and Draymond talking, make the whole thing about the Warriors. Don't give me a taste of like 4 minutes of like KD's growing up. Because I don't know how KD grew up. He went to Texas for some reason. It's a football state. He drops a little nugget in here like, oh, it was fun like being in like Austin, all stuff. I want to hear him talk about that. But they cut him off. Then they just talk about, oh, remember we played together for the Warriors. Nothing about Steph. Nothing about Clay. Just that one incident. I just feel like we didn't really get our money's worth there, even though it was free on YouTube. One thing I did like, they addressed like Draymond said the best thing KD ever did in his mind was just start tweeting from his own account, because they were teammates when the whole burner thing happened. And
I love it too.
I don't know who hates it. Like why would like they call
probably a bunch of like LeBron fans or something.
They call him out. They're like, oh, you're just like hyping your own tweets up. You're like hiding behind like his phone or whatever. He starts tweeting on his own account. And they're like, oh, that's like so unprofessional. I'm like, this is great. I love this. Like CJ does it, Dame does it, Draymond does it. Like they all like tweet their own thoughts. They don't like censor themselves, which is what I kind of like.
He basically said like, hold my beer.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, it wasn't a waste of a half an hour of my life. I enjoyed watching it, but there were some gripes I had. It wasn't like a whole Kobe Shaq one or like an Isaiah Magic one where I'm like, this is like golden era TV right here. Like I can't turn away. But overall, pretty fun time. Wrapping up here, we got a little bit of taste of the schedule that's going to be coming out. We got opening night and we got Christmas, two of the most important nights in the NBA. So I'll start with opening night. If I can open up my Instagram here. I believe I bookmarked it. So sorry. No, that's my archive.
I know some of the opening night.
Say the opening night while I find the whole schedule.
So first off, Lakers Warriors. That is opening night, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was Christmas, but yeah, that one. We don't know if Clay's returning. Obviously, LeBron versus Steph, and then it's basically been pushed for the last 4 or 5 ever since they first played in 2015. That'll be interesting to see. Russ's debut in a Laker uniform. The young rooks of the Warriors. So both these teams have lost, I believe, the past 2 opening nights. So something has to give. Warriors got blown out by the Nets last year. Lakers have lost to the Clippers twice. So thankfully they've gone away.
Can't catch a goddamn break.
Do you think they're going away from that LA thing, or it's just because Kawhi's hurt? Like if Kawhi was healthy, would they get a part 3? Because it's been the last 2 opening nights.
Oh, that's a good question. I think they probably are going away from it. But it definitely has to do with the talent portion. Like, there's no way you're not going to have, like, the Lakers with all their talent that just got this offseason not play the Clippers who just made the conference finals if Kawhi's healthy.
Yeah, of course.
It has been pushed a little less. Didn't seem like there's going to be a huge collision course last year about, like, Clippers-Lakers in the conference finals. There wasn't, like, a lot of hype there. It's just, like, it could happen. There was also a lot of good teams. So,
And, the Lakers were hurt. Clippers had tanked, so it was, like, it had to be the conference finals, and there's so much uncertainties around them. So...
Yeah, Lakers Warriors pretty solid one. I like this one a lot more. Nets Bucks. That's the nightcap for that.
I wish Josh was here for this because he has to watch. Him and James Harden have to watch Giannis get his ring. James Harden's gonna be sitting front row, like shaking and all mad because he has to watch the guy he said has no skill run and dunk, except his first ring of hopefully many. But we won't get into that. So that'll be entertaining.
Do you think it helps the team's chances of winning the game when they get their wing? Or do you think it's kind of like a fun
No.
like...
There's 100% a hangover effect because I remember the Lakers last season. I think I can't remember the one from previous seasons like the Raptors and all the Warriors teams, but last season the Lakers came out pathetic. And I mean that was AD's first. A lot of that team's firsts. LeBron got his first in LA, which is a promise he delivered. And they got walloped. And the Clippers, obviously, they were supposed to match up with the Lakers, blew the lead, and you see someone get a ring, especially like the NBA, it's so hard. You're going to sit there and be like, all right, we want to ruin it. You try and ruin it for them. I don't think you obviously ruin it because, hey, we got a ring. We don't care about one regular season game. But I would expect this is my early season prediction. I expect the Nets to win that game. Fair
enough. Pretty solid opening night. Christmas, a lot more to digest. A lot of stuff I like. A lot of stuff I'm like, that's a little interesting. I'm not even trying to stall. I just simply – there it is. Okay.
There's an obvious one here.
Yeah, so we'll go in order of what Bleacher Report has. So it's probably in order of the best ones.
It might be time as well.
Yeah. Nets Lakers is the first one we have.
Okay. Yeah, that's the primetime one. That's obviously expected. Bunch of storylines. Two teams with overflowing talent. Two most talented teams in the league. No brainer.
Yeah, so you like that one, right? Because we already get the Nets Bucks out of the way opening night. So this is probably what. Normally on Christmas they have the previous year's finals. Teams play again. They're getting a little ahead of themselves. They're going, everyone has Nets Lakers in the finals. Let's get it out of the way right here. Let's go ahead and get it on Christmas because even though it didn't happen last year. And then Celtics Bucks, another one I'm pretty happy about. I just mentioned it. How do you feel about Suns Bucks not being a game?
Yeah, I would definitely. That would probably. Celtics Bucks I don't mind because they've had a lot of history in the playoffs. Tatum versus Giannis, and that's a great talent matchup as well. They'll match up nice, but yeah, Suns Bucks, they gave us a great final series, and I definitely think the Suns would come out wanting revenge. But the way Giannis played last year in the finals, I mean, that would probably, I don't think it would outdo Lakers Nets, but that would probably be the second best game. I think everyone could agree on. Yeah,
and then Suns do still play on Christmas. They play the Warriors. Point guard versus Steph Curry. You like that one as much?
You can market enough out of it. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. I think, like Steph versus Harden. Steph versus CP3. They've had enough history there. I don't mind it. Just not many storylines behind it, but it's good. It's a good talent matchup.
Mm-hmm. Probably my favorite one, Knicks Hawks. That's gonna be a fun one. I do believe
in MSG.
It is in MSG.
Perfect job, Adam.
It's gonna be fun. Knicks always get a Christmas Day game. This is gonna be one that's on while you're opening your presents. Knicks always normally play first. I like this one a lot, and there's a lot to be said about it. Do you have a prediction for this one? You got.
I'm still gonna take the Hawks. I know I just said usually revenge matters in these type of rematch games, but I just think the Hawks are just better. I know the Knicks revamped a bit, but I mean, I know it's going to be a month or so after the start of the opening night, so we don't know what the teams are going to look like, but I'm confident in the Hawks. Trae is a menace in MSG. They can say whatever they want. It won't matter. So I'm taking Trae in that environment.
Oh, yeah. And then here, so we got four matchups that they're pretty solid. We get a finals preview probably, and then both the teams that made the finals last year play. Some good teams, all that stuff. And then we got Mavericks versus Jazz. I don't know how I really feel about this one. I don't think the Jazz deserve to play on Christmas, really. I'd like Luka playing. They did leave the MVP of the league out of Christmas.
First time since 2008 when they expanded to 5 games that an MVP is not going to be. Luka versus Jokic is good enough storyline for me.
That would have been perfect. That's a great nightcap. Like the Blazers normally play nightcaps. It's not always like Blazers Clippers or something.
Pelicans got a game last year. What?
And so Jokic is in play. Plus, are they giving up on Zion being the face of the league again? Because they don't play him on Christmas.
Adam Silver saw the Pelicans offseason and went, "We're not having that on Christmas on primetime." We'll see when the schedule comes out. They had a lot of primetime games last year,
TNT Pelicans.
Exactly, more than actual contenders had. So they're definitely scaling back. And it's not so much as we're removing Zion as face of the league. It's just this team is the roster construction ain't great. I don't know if they think that. Maybe they can't, but it's let's let them become a playoff contender first before we put them on primetime so much.
So your thumbs up on Pelicans not playing on Christmas?
Definitely.
do you think it's a big mistake, or what's more surprising? The Nuggets not getting a game, or the Jazz still getting a game?
Nuggets not getting a game. I would not expect the MVP to be off. Jazz or whatever, they've had a few games last few years. That's a team I expect. They were the 1 seed, so you probably figure they got a game. But yeah, no MVP. I get that they're not going to have Murray, but him and himself, especially when you're trying to cater to casual viewers, and they're competing with NFL. So you're going to see the nightcap. I don't know the NFL nightcap on Christmas, but football in America is way bigger.
Oh my God, is Christmas on a Sunday? Oh, NBA screwed anyways. Doesn't even matter. But
I don't know if it's a Sunday, but they usually do play during. Let me check for you.
No, football's always Thanksgiving.
It's a Saturday, and they usually do late December games on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're competing. They're competing. I might watch it, but if that NFL game is better, and if I got fantasy players or something, I don't care. If Jokic was there, I'd probably watch it more. But
also, the 2 best European players, not counting Giannis, Luka versus Jokic, like it would have been a great matchup. I don't know why Jokic left out, but
you could have got like overseas viewers as well. So
yeah, but you know, it is what it is, and we'll see what the schedule comes out. Maybe Jokic has like 70 like national TV games, so like it's all made up for. Were you gonna say something?
No, that's all.
All right, well I'm gonna call it. We got to go bowling. Thanks for watching or listening. If you like what you're, make sure to follow us at THOopers on Instagram. Follow George's Twitter, J_Martin21. He doesn't stop tweeting. It drives me fucking insane. TikTok, George's on TikTok now. Go like George's TikTok, whatever. And then, you know, all that fun stuff. Thanks for being OG, everyone, and take care.